How's it going, everybody? My name is Lucky Buns, and in today's video I'm going to be going over 40 things you can do after you beat the main storyline in Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, the Indigo Disk. So first of all, let's head back to Paldea real quick. We want to go on over to the Uva Academy because there's actually going to be a secret Team Star side quest there. It's more like a tutoring session, let's be honest here, but it's still kind of cool. It's like definitely adds to the lore of these characters. Now after you actually complete this side quest, you're also going to unlock a secret shop in Porto Marinada. So basically Atticus has set up a shop here in Porto Marinada and he's selling replica items. These are pretty expensive as the starting price is 100,000 Pokemon dollars. Now once you finish purchasing every single one of these items, you're going to unlock the glow stick emote, which is definitely one of my favorite emotes in this DLC and just in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in general, honestly. It's such a fun emote to use. Now you definitely need a lot of money to buy all these items in this DLC, but if you guys don't already know, the item printer is pretty much your go-to when you want to just make a ton of money really fast. We'll talk more about that later on in this video. Now before you guys actually leave Porto Marinada, there's actually one more secret auction I want to talk about. This one's going to be a little bit south from where Atticus's shop is, and this is going to be a bigger, muscular lady, I want to say. That's like the best way I could probably describe her. The price to buy these items really aren't that expensive, but she's only going to pop up if you actually have certain legendary Pokemon in your Pokemon storage. So a good example of this is catching Spectrier and Glastrier in this DLC, but you won't actually be able to get Calyrex unless you transfer that Pokemon in from Pokemon Home. But if you do, and go back to this lady who's selling these items, she's going to have the combination items to actually fuse Spectrier and Calyrex or Glastrier and Calyrex. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it. So yeah, basically, if you transfer in legendary Pokemon, for example, like Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, Arceus, you're going to be able to buy their special items from this lady. So with that being said, let's head back on over to the Blueberry Academy now. We're going to run through a bunch of things, mainly the flying ability. There's a few things I want to talk about right now. So first of all, how do you actually unlock the fly ability permanently? Because you get it temporarily when you're doing the time trials for Amaris, but after that you aren't actually able to fly around the terrarium. Now in order to get the fly ability permanently, you want to head back on over to the entrance of the Blueberry Academy, then visit classroom 3-2. Amaris should be here, and then after talking to her for a little bit, either Koraidon or Miraidon, whichever one you guys have, is going to unlock the fly ability permanently. This conversation is also going to unlock the additional flying trial challenges you guys can go ahead and do, so it's pretty similar to the one that you did during the main storyline. Now unfortunately, you are going to have to recomplete easy mode again, but after this you can unlock normal, hard mode, and then super hard mode. They're not really that difficult, but the total reward after completing all of them is going to be 850 blueberry points, which is definitely a decent amount, especially if you're playing this game solo and you don't have online. Now I do want to mention that it's only worth doing these trial challenges the first time around, because if you go back and do them again, you don't really get that many blueberry points for it, but honestly I thought they were kind of fun, so if you want to challenge yourself, definitely give super hard mode a go. Now at this point in the video, you've unlocked the fly ability permanently, and if you haven't thought about it already, well now I'm going to tell you what you should do next. So that big orb at the very top of the terrarium, I know it doesn't seem like you can get up there, but you can actually get up there. It takes a decent amount of time to fly up there, but pretty much just aim all the way up, and eventually once you get to the top, there's going to be 3 items there: an ability patch, a gold bottle cap, and 50 Stellaterra shards. It was definitely one of the first things that I thought about when I got the fly ability, but I know a lot of people didn't really think about it, and maybe they thought it wasn't even possible. But yeah, it's totally possible. You get some pretty cool items from getting up there, and if you're crazy and you just want to jump off, your Rotom phone is going to catch you on the way down, but man, you fall for a very long time. Now one more thing to add on to the flying ability is that you also want to unlock all the fly point locations. That should be pretty easy to get to them. I'm going to have them on screen right now. There's not too many in the terrarium, but these are going to come in handy later on when you guys are actually farming blueberry points, or if you haven't already farmed blueberry points, then you definitely want to unlock all the fly locations as soon as possible, but I'm assuming most of you guys probably have the majority of them, if not all of them. So I think we've basically covered everything I wanted to talk about regarding flying. Now let's talk about the special coach interactions. There's a whole lot of stuff going on here. So first of all, you're going to be able to unlock a lot of special items, including trades as well. So in order to unlock all the special items from these coaches, you just have to battle them once. So you pretty much just invite them to the Uva Academy. You invite them to the Blueberry Academy, and then you just battle them once, and then they're going to give you their special item. And then from here, if you interact with them 2 more times, not specifically during that first invite, but if you invite them back 2 more times and then interact with them both times, you're then going to be able to trade a special Pokemon that they're going to give you. You can trade them whatever you want. I don't think you can trade them like shinies or anything like that. I think they might reject it. I've never actually tried it myself. I wasn't like that bold. Now in total, there's going to be 30 different coaches you guys can interact with. Some of them are going to be from the Blueberry Academy, but most of them are going to be from the Uva Academy back over in Paldea. So the ones that are automatically unlocked right when you enter into the Blueberry Academy and you unlock the league room are going to be all the gym leaders, and then after you do 3 trades with any of those gym leaders, you're going to unlock Director Clavel as well as Professor Jock. and then after you do 3 trades and you get max friendship with all the teachers, then you can invite them over as well. Their side quests are going to be highlighted on the school map after you complete their classes, so it's going to take you about, I want to say, 4 to 5 interactions before you guys actually get max friendship. Now after you've done 5 trades with these special coaches, you're going to unlock the Elite Four members Rika and Poppy. After you've done 8 trades, you're going to unlock the Champion Gita, and then after you've completed the Mochi Mayhem Epilogue story, you're going to unlock the final 3 coaches, Champion Nimona, Arvin, and Penny. Your best friends, basically. So the remainder of the special coaches are going to come from the Blueberry students, so Crispin, Amaris, Lacey, Drayden, Carmine, and then finally Kieran. You don't get access to Carmine and Kieran until you actually beat the Epilogue story for Mochi Mayhem, but you should get access to Crispin, Amaris, Lacey, and Drayden after you complete the main story for the Indigo Disk. Now unlike the other coaches where you actually invite them over to the league room, you're going to have to do the date skip trick to actually get the 3 interactions before they're going to be able to trade with you. So in order to do this correctly, you have to leave the league room, go to the entrance, use the date skip trick, then head back to the league room, talk to them if they're actually there. There's only going to be 3 of the Blueberry students at one time, so it may take you some time to actually get all of them to speak with you, especially the 3 interactions. When I was doing this myself, it took me a while to actually get Crispin to spawn in there, so it might take you some time, but eventually you should be able to get all of them. Now in total, this is going to cost you a ton of Blueberry points, guys. We're looking at 13,800 Blueberry points to complete everything, not including the Blueberry students, and basically this is just to invite every single coach from Paldea 3 times each. Now in order to unlock this secret boss fight, you need to have traded with 10 other coaches. Again, this is going to require you to invite them at least 3 times each unless you're doing the Blueberry students, but once you have done this, you can boot up the league computer and then invite Director Cyrano. He's going to be under an alias name, but before you actually do this, make sure that you build a good team for this battle because it's probably one of the toughest battles in this DLC. Now once you actually beat him though, he's going to ask you to do a trade and then he's going to give you a shiny Blitzel, which is super cool. The coach interactions were definitely one of my favorite aspects of this DLC. You get to see like so many different characters just interact with each other and they all have special dialogues. Well, not all of them have special dialogues, but many of them do have special dialogues. For example, if you actually invite Grusha and Iono together, the Ice type gym leader and the Electric type gym leader, and those two talk, Grusha basically tells Iono that he's been a fan for a long time, but that he liked her older work, kind of implying that she fell off a little, or more that she sold out. If you haven't done all the coach interactions, I do highly recommend going through and getting that done. It's seriously so much fun, and you're gonna really enjoy some of those dialogues. Next up, let's talk about unlocking the Synchro Machine. So not everybody knows about this, which I think is really weird because it's kind of right in your face as you're going through the story, but yeah, for those of you guys who don't know, you can unlock this thing called the Synchronized Machine, or the Synchro Machine, and this basically allows you to take control of your Pokemon, and it's so much fun. So you essentially just can be your Pokemon and then just go battle other Pokemon. You can knock them out. Be really careful though, because if you end up finding a shiny and you're too far away from your trainer and then you go back to your trainer, it will despawn, and not to mention your Pokemon can also knock out shinies if you get too close. Shiny hunting in Synchro mode can be a really risky play. It's definitely a double-edged sword. Like, it's super fun, but I mean, there's a high probability you're probably gonna knock out a shiny or just have one despawn on you. Now I do plan on making a video going over some of the best Pokemon to use in Synchro mode. I'm gonna have to do a lot of research on it though, so if you guys have any Pokemon that you particularly like using in Synchro mode, let me know in the comment section down below. One of my personal favorites is Meowscarada. Now if you actually use a Pokemon that's really good in Synchro mode, you can actually auto battle even faster for materials, and trust me when I say this, you're going to need a lot of materials later for the item printer. If you guys don't already know this, my goodness, that is the best way to get money in this game, but you do need Blueberry points and you do need a lot of Pokemon materials. Now to be honest, this really shouldn't be that difficult to do, especially if you guys are going to be shiny hunting some of the new Pokemon from the mass outbreaks. I mean, you're probably going to collect a lot of material just passively playing the game. I definitely have. But on that note as well, if you guys are shiny hunting some of these new Pokemon from mass outbreaks and you're unfamiliar with the Academy Special, then you definitely want to make sure that this thing is on when you're going through those shiny hunts. Basically, this gives you a level 1 shiny boost on every single type of Pokemon. Like whether you're roaming around the terrarium or you're going for a very specific shiny hunt, have the Academy Special on plus the shiny charm, and that is going to be a game changer for your shiny hunts. Like your odds to get a shiny are so much higher combined. Now again, this is opposed to just having a level 3 sandwich boost, which only boosts a very specific type of Pokemon. So again, like you have to use Herba Mystica for that, whereas you can just go spend a few Blueberry points, get the Academy Special boost, a level 1 shiny boost on every single type of Pokemon, and combined with the shiny charm, I mean, that's pretty much the way to do it. I don't think there's a better way to shiny hunt in game outside of just using the Herba Mystica sandwiches, but again, Herba Mystica is a really, really difficult resource to obtain. Now one thing I want to also mention as well is to use the date skip trick to reset your mass outbreaks. So basically, if you get a bunch of mass outbreaks that weren't really that ideal, like they're just a bunch of mid Pokemon, you can just reset them by just doing the date skip trick, and hopefully you reroll to something good. Moving on though, I do want to talk about the item printer next. So basically my top recommendation here, if you haven't done it already, is to upgrade this to the Master Ball tier. In the very beginning, you're just conducting research on the item printer, you're trying to get it to farm better items. It's kind of like AI in a way, like the more information you're feeding it, the better that it gets. So the only thing that you really need for this is blueberry points. And again, you can farm this pretty much infinitely for unlimited items and money as long as you have the blueberry points. One more tip I want to add on as well is that you want to make sure that you're batching 10 at a time, because the default is 1 at a time, and I did this for like the first 30 minutes when I was using the item printer. Please don't be me. Make sure that you're batching 10 at a time. It goes so much faster. Now on top of that, I would also recommend using the autofill function for the Pokemon materials. I know some people go through and like hand pick every single one, but that just takes way too long. Just autofill, batch 10, rinse and repeat, and that's going to be the way to do this. That's how you get through it the fastest, and honestly, you're going to get max cash in less than an hour, so it's totally worth it. Now while we're still in the league room, let's talk about the Pokeball throwing cells as well as the league room remodel designs. So these are going to cost you blueberry points to unlock, but if you want to actually see what they look like before you buy them, check out this video linked right here in the top right hand corner. It's also going to be linked down below. For some reason, Game Freak decided not to give us a preview option for any of the throwing cells or for the remodel designs, so the only way to actually see what they look like is either to purchase them or to just go and find a video online. So if you're unsure which throwing style actually looks good or how you want to decorate your league room, then definitely make sure to check out that video and kind of get some previews. But other than that, let's move on over to our next thing, which is to unlock the starter Pokemon. Same thing on the league computer right here. Now you can also transfer these Pokemon in from Pokemon Home if you want. It's going to speed up your process a ton because most of the Pokemon in this Pokedex are actually starter Pokemon from the past generations, but I thought it was kind of fun to actually hunt them down in the terrarium. So if you want to do that, it's going to cost you about 12,000 blueberry points to unlock all these starters, which is quite expensive. Again, we're going to talk about blueberry farming tips right now. I've mentioned this so many times in this video, so I feel like I just need to go over it. The best way to actually get blueberry points in this DLC is to just do Union Circles online. Now I know some of you guys don't actually have access to Nintendo Online, which you kind of need for the Union Circles, so if that's the case, I'm sorry, I can't really help you much more than that. Like, you can just go through and do the solo quests manually, but it's going to take forever. Nintendo Online is like 20 bucks for the entire year. It's way cheaper than most of the other subscription models like Xbox or PlayStation. I am not sponsored by Nintendo though, so please don't buy it if you don't really feel like it's worth it to you. But in my opinion, I definitely think that it is, especially given how much faster you're going to get your blueberry points. It is so worth it. Now I'm not going to plug any Discord or anything like that. Just go to the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet subreddit page. They're going to have chat channels there where you can do blueberry quests, you can do Ogre Oustin. We're going to talk about Ogre Oustin again later on in this video. This is basically going to be your main resource when you want to link up with other players. Like, I've done Union Circles on here and it's worked super well. So again, that's going to be how you actually get your groups together. You just need to have Nintendo Online. That's pretty much the only prerequisite here. But yeah, outside of that, I do want to go over some blueberry farming tips now that you actually have a group to do these with. So before you actually start farming blueberry points, you want to buy hamburgers, mustard, and cream cheese for the 4-star sandwich recipes. These are going to be for the gold group quest. You're going to get these every once in a while, and it's going to require all 4 of your members to actually go through and make the sandwich. This is the easiest recipe to get a 4-star sandwich, guys. You don't have to use any Herba Mystica or anything like that. I'm also going to recommend to buy a mask and glasses. You're going to need these for quests as well. Also to stockpile some eggs in your Pokemon storage, as there's going to be a few red quests that do require you to actually have some eggs. Now on top of that, one tip I do recommend when doing these blueberry quests is that you can actually re-roll the quest by hovering over them and then just clicking A to change. Some of the tasks are kind of tedious in my opinion, and it's just faster to just re-roll them to something easier. I feel like it's going like 1 step backward but 2 steps forward, so if you guys want to do every single quest, you can totally do that, but in my opinion, this is just a faster approach to it. We were getting way more blueberry points just doing it this way. Now one additional benefit to actually doing these Union Circles is that you're going to be completing not only solo quests, but also group quests, which are required to get legendary treats from Snacksworth. So this is actually how you unlock past legendary Pokemon that are going to be available in this game. I believe in total there's about 25 different legendary Pokemon you guys can unlock in this DLC, which is pretty awesome. If you guys want to check out a full location guide for these Pokemon, it's going to be linked down below as well as in the top right hand corner right now. Now I do want to specify that these legendary Pokemon are going to be specifically from Snacksworth. There are going to be a few other legendary Pokemon, and we're going to talk about those right now. So the next way to actually get legendary Pokemon, the Paradox legendary Pokemon, are going to be from Perrin, or Perrin's side quest I should say. Now I do want to mention, if you guys have not completed the first quest in Kitakami for Blood Moon Ursaluna, you have to do that one first or she won't actually show up in the Blueberry Academy. Now with that being said though, assuming that you have completed it, you can find Perrin in the Savannah biome. She's going to be like right at the entrance when you enter the Blueberry Academy, so she's pretty easy to find. So basically once you start this quest, Perrin is going to give you a photograph of some Paradox Pokemon. These are going to be in Area 0 by the way, so you're going to have to head back on over there. Depending on if you guys had Pokemon Scarlet or Pokemon Violet, you're going to have access to different Paradox Pokemon. And in order to actually complete the Blueberry Pokedex, you have to trade these with somebody with a different version because there's no way to get more than one of these Pokemon. So it's a little bit difficult, and you want to be really careful when you're trading away your Paradox Pokemon, as some players may not give back the Paradox Pokemon that you traded. So try to find somebody maybe in real life that has the other version opposed to you. I know that's kind of difficult, but that's kind of where we're at with these Paradox Pokemon. People were not really happy with this one. Now, if you guys actually want a location guide, I didn't put together one because I don't actually have Pokemon Scarlet, but if you want to check out somebody else's video, I'm going to leave a link to one right now in the top right hand corner. Moving on, let's talk about the secret trick to actually find and catch Meloetta in this DLC. So first of all, you want to head to the coastal biome. You want to fast travel to the coastal outdoor classroom specifically, then go to the left, go down this cliff, and you want to be in the middle of this area. Basically, you want to be looking for this whirlwind of leaves on screen. The exact location does seem to vary depending on the player, but it's basically going to be in between these 3 bushes on the map. Now at this point, you want to rotate your left analog stick clockwise for about 20 seconds. Now after you're done spinning, you want to go to your camera, tap right on the D-pad to change the filter to sepia, and if you've done everything correctly, you're going to hear Meloetta music playing in the background, and if you turn around, Meloetta is going to be right there. Now once you've actually got Meloetta to spawn in this spot, it is going to be a static spawn, which basically means you have to either defeat it or catch it, or it's just going to stay there infinitely, which for some players, they might actually kind of like that. Now on the off chance you accidentally knock out Meloetta, it will respawn the next day, so don't worry about it too much. Unfortunately though, for shiny hunters out there, Meloetta is going to be shiny locked, similar to the other legendary Pokemon as well. Mythical Pokemon rarely ever get shiny variants in main series games, so this wasn't that surprising, but it was kind of unfortunate that the legendary Pokemon available did not have their shinies, because that is a completely different story. Moving on, our next thing is going to be to revisit Ogre Oustin if you guys did not actually complete hard mode during the Kitakami playthrough. It's actually much easier now, which is why I wanted to go over this. So this is going to be a good opportunity to not only get some fresh start Mochi, which are really important for resetting your EVs, but also if you actually beat hard mode, you get a shiny Munchlax, which is super cool. But in the past, Ogre Oustin was like such a difficult minigame, like it was so difficult to get hard mode done. But once again, just go to the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet subreddit page. They actually have a chat specifically for Ogre Oustin, and again, like the minigame is much easier now, so you should be able to get hard mode done without having too much difficulty. It's still going to be a pretty difficult challenge. You do have to have good coordination, but it's a lot more reasonable now than it was before when I did it. Speaking of which though, we got access to a bunch of new Pokemon in this DLC, so if you guys have not EV trained and IV trained them, then I do highly recommend doing that. Whether you're focused on 7-star raid battles or PvP competitive battles, or maybe even both, this is going to be a great time to go through and EV train plus IV train some of these new Pokemon. And while you're at it, maybe create some Stellar type builds as well. I actually haven't really messed with this that much, but you know, there's some Stellar type Pokemon in the wild. You guys can always catch those and then kind of just mess around with it. Stellar type is a very interesting type because essentially like you get a bonus for the first turn that you use it, but then it goes away after that. So I don't know if there's like a lot of play. Maybe somebody who's like more into competitive PvP in the main series Pokemon games can let us know in the comment section down below, but I definitely don't have the insight to tell you guys in this video. I forgot to mention this as well, but you probably want to go through and create all the new TMs as well. This is definitely something I did in Kitakami, and I'm pretty sure I have most of them in the Indigo Disk. I might be missing like 1 or 2, but you essentially just need to go through and auto battle a lot of Pokemon throughout this region. Again, definitely a win-win scenario because you're going to need those Pokemon materials for the item printer. Now, one of the last completionist tasks I want to go over is all the new outfits in the Paldea stores. Now, most creators are probably going to tell you to buy all of them, but I'm going to tell you not to do that. Now, the reason for this is because you're going to make scrolling an actual nightmare. I would just recommend going through and buying your favorite styles and just leave it at that. Like, I know it seems like a good idea to get everything done, but in this specific scenario, this is one time where I would recommend not doing that. Next up, we're going to go over a few pose and emote unlocks. So first one is going to be the Charizard pose, or essentially the Leon pose. So you want to show the guy in the school store one of the Pokemon that you caught from 7-star raids, which has the mightiest mark. He's going to give you the Charizard pose or the Leon pose from Pokemon Sword and Shield. The next pose we're going to talk about is going to be the Gladion pose, which can be unlocked in Classroom 3-2 from one of the NPCs. You pretty much just have to go through the dialogue and just pretend like you're Gladion, just, you know, super edgelord status, and he's going to give you access to his pose, which is really cool. I like his pose a lot. Now, the final pose I'm going to go over is the Electrium Z pose, which you just have to show the girl at the coastal biome and a Alolan Golem. In order to actually get an Alolan Golem, though, you have to first catch Alolan Geodude, evolve it to Alolan Graveler, and then mirror trade that with somebody online. Trade code is going to be on screen right now. Just use that. It's probably the easiest way to get this done. Then just show the girl the Alolan Golem and get your Electrium Z pose. Now, at this point in the video, guys, I'm sure most of you have already completed the Blueberry Pokedex, but if you have not done that, that should be the next thing that you actually get done. If you guys need help with all these special evolutions, I do have a full guide video, which I'm going to link down below. Highly recommend checking that out, especially if you're going for all the different Alcremie evolutions evolutions, that is, wow, good luck if you're going for that. Anyways, though, if you actually complete the Blueberry Pokedex, you're going to get access to the Mark Charm from Cyrano, and also you're going to get a Master Ball from the Pokedex reward. So definitely worth completing the Blueberry Pokedex just for that Master Ball, but also the Mark Charm is kind of cool. Now, at this point in the video, you've pretty much completed everything after the main storyline, but now we're really going to get into the endgame stuff. So the first thing that you want to do, if you guys have not done it already, is to complete the epilogue for the Mochi Mayhem. So first of all, you need to get access to the mythical Pecha Berry gift from the Poke Portal online. Pretty much just go to the Poke Portal, select Mystery Gift, and then select Get via Internet. It should be there. There's pretty much no time limit on this mystery gift, and you can actually get this even before you get all the storylines done. But obviously, watching this video, you've already done all that, so just get access to this mystery gift, then head back on over to Kitakami. Then go right to the old lady's shop. I'm pretty sure her shop is called Peachy's shop. Now, you don't need to actually interact with her, but what you need to do instead is interact with the Pecha around that purple plush looking thing in her shop. It's going to be on the left side. And again, if you've met all the prerequisites, this will start the Mochi Mayhem epilogue. It's a pretty quick story. It shouldn't take you that long to complete. I think it took me about an hour in total. I do want to mention that you want to have a good team ready to go for this epilogue story, though, as you're going to have to go through a decent amount of trainer battles, and all the Pokemon are going to be in the low 80s, and the final battle is going to have Pokemon in the high 80s. And fun fact, if you guys want to actually one-shot Pecha Run to the very end, just use Mewtwo with Psy Strike with the right build. It's pretty epic. Now, even though we covered the epilogue story, we're not done with this video yet, as there are a few other things to do in this DLC that we haven't talked about yet. So the next thing that we're going to go over is to complete the secret Pokedex. Now, I know what you're thinking. A secret Pokedex? What are you talking about? So the final Pokemon in the Blueberry Pokedex is Terapagos, right? But there's actually 3 more secret entries after Terapagos. One of them is going to be the mythical Pokemon Pecha Run from the epilogue story, but what are the other 2? So these 2 Pokemon have actually been released 4 times in total during online events, and they're going to be the Paradox Pokemon for Suicune and Virizion. Now, originally when you caught these Pokemon, they wouldn't show up in the Paldea Pokedex, so we kind of weren't really sure where they were going to end up, but turns out they actually were in the Blueberry Pokedex. At the very end, they were just secret Pokedex entries. We still got a few more things to go over though, so if you actually go back to the Ace Academy tournament after beating the DLC, and then again after beating the epilogue story, all the Pokemon are going to be at level 80, so this is going to be the toughest Ace Academy tournament Pokemon you guys can go through. Now, unfortunately, this also means for many players, the old auto farm method using the Turbo 8 controller is not going to work, but there is a new build now with White Kurum that you can go with. I'm going to leave all the details on screen right now. That build is going to be what you want to use if you still want to do the auto farm money method with the Turbo 8 controller. Although again, like if you just use the item printer, you're going to get max cash in less than an hour, so really it's up to you, but again, if you want to go with that build, White Kurum is going to be the way to go. Now, at this point in the video, we've pretty much gone through everything. We've completed the Blueberry Pokedex, we've completed the Secret Pokedex, we've completed the Epilogue, we've completed the Coach Trades, caught all the legendary Pokemon, got the secret Pokemon Meloetta. There's probably a whole bunch of Pokemon in your storage that you just don't know what to do with. And, well, if you want to organize them like I did, you guys can feel free to copy my format on screen right now. Feel free to pause the video at any point in time, as I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but I pretty much have an organization for the Living Evolution Pokedex, for the Blueberry Pokedex. Then I also have the Legendary Pokemon plus Meloetta. I have these special coach trades. Now, if you guys do actually like the way that I formatted my Pokemon storage, let me know in the comment section down below. It would really mean a lot to me. Now, the last 2 things that we're going to talk about in this video are definitely more on the secret side. So the first one is going to be the secret room below Area 0. Now, most of you guys probably noticed this room as you were going through the main storyline for the DLC. It's literally right at the very end. You just want to go back to this cave, but instead of going all the way down, you want to jump and make a sharp right. Now this area should be open, and essentially you just have to go through and battle and defeat a stellar type Garchomp, and once you do that, you're going to unlock another room which has a bunch of items. It's basically like a treasure room. It's like a bunch of different Terra Raid shards. If you guys haven't visited below Area 0 since you completed the main storyline, I highly recommend going back and getting the stuff from this room. There isn't really like anything in there that's super good, but it's definitely a fun little Easter egg. Now, the final thing to actually complete the game, is you want to head back on over to the Crystal Lake for the secret Paradox ending. But before you do that, you need to go back and talk to Briard to get the Scarlet or Violet book, depending on your version, and then head back on over to the Crystal Lake. Now, by doing this, you're going to be able to talk with the professor, like the real one, not the AI robot, when you visit the Crystal Lake. You essentially end up creating the Paradox for the entire story by giving them the notes they then need to set things in motion for Koraidon and Miraidon. It's pretty mind-blowing stuff. Now, afterwards, the main title screen is also going to change, and you're going to notice that it's more like a sunset, and a new book is going to be on the table. This is the final sign that you guys have actually completed the whole story for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. With that being said, guys, that's pretty much where I'm going to end things off for this video. If you still want to check out some more content, I'm going to recommend these 2 videos right here. But before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.